Hello everybody and welcome back to another Pokemon Emerald video. As you might have guessed, today we are playing through the game with Raikou to finish off the trio. Personally, before playing with it, it was my least favorite, but I am always open to change my mind. Initially, it may seem like Raikou will have an easy time because Electric is super effective against the many water types, but I'm not so sure about that since there is a good number of ground types and earthquake users. Let's quickly go over the rules. I can only use my starter in combat, I can't use consumables in battle, I can't raise my evasion, and I can't use cheats or glitches. Like the other two legendary dogs before him, Raikou starts with only Bite and Leer. This time I am not going to complain about it. Bite is a special, so it will do lots of damage thanks to our high special attack, and it will be useful throughout most of the game, as you'll see. The nature this time it's pretty bad. I am already super fast, so it will not matter, and the special defense could come in handy. But since I am using a legendary, I don't think it will be that important. The first few fights go by smoothly as there is not much that can stand up to me. Another positive trait is that since I am so fast, I will outspeed most things, so Bite can flinch them too. On the other hand, one negative trait shared among all legendaries is their slow growth rate. That's most important in the early and late game. Fortunately, they often have these stats to make up for it. Roxanne is the first gym leader, and even though her Pokémons are quite sturdy, the special hits from Bite are enough to two-shot the Geodudes. They do land a couple of rock tombs in the meantime, but I am still able to move first. Nosepass is able to speed time me eventually, but that's not enough, and with a few more Thunder Shocks I can burn through his remaining HP and earn myself the first badge of the region. Next we have the second match with our rival. It may seem unfair that I gave her the water starter, and yes, for now it is, but once it evolves, I will not be able to use electric moves against it, and he will hurt me with Mud Shot. For now I skipped Brawly since I don't feel quite confident enough, and went to Slateport to gather up a few more levels. Here, as usual, we find the Team Aqua Grants trying to steal stuff from the captain. We come to his rescue, and today it's not their day, because I can blast them away with the Thunder Shock extremely easily, since all of their Pokémons are weak to it. After we took care of that situation, I stuck around to level up a bit more, and then I backtracked a little to face Brawly. In the end, he turned out to not be that hard of a fight. I was expecting his Pokémons to take much less damage for some reason. I guess I underestimated the Thunder Shock, mostly because of its somewhat low base power. The fight still took a bit of time since Brawly uses a few super potions, but then I got a crit against his ace to seal the deal in a somewhat underwhelming manner. Once we have the second badge, we can get back to the Slateport area to take on the next fight against May. This is where she is the most dangerous, and I was expecting to lose to her because of the previously mentioned Marsh Stomp, but it did not go exactly like that. Thanks to a flinch, Marshtomp could attack me only once and was unable to take me down. To be fair, even without it, I would have lived a second hit, and with that we are done with the biggest obstacle in the early game. Watson is next, and he could be challenging too. I bought Thunderbolt to make things easier and had to equip a Cherry Berry, because in this generation electric types can still be paralyzed by Thunder Wave. Another issue is that electric resists itself. That means I can't do much damage to them, and the fight took quite a while, with me getting paralyzed anyway in the end. Sure, that also means that they can't deal that much to me either, but fast fights are better in my opinion, because you can never know what's going to happen with RNG in this game. Now that we have his badge, we can explore more of the region until we stumble on the two teams having a world fight in Meteorfall Caves. One thing leads to the other, and we end up on top of the volcano to stop Maxi. I was a bit worried about the fight with him. This is the first time where we have to fight a ground type with stab moves, and I was unsure how much damage Camerupt could do. I guess I'll have to find out in the next episode, because he preferred to use Ember instead. What a weird decision from the AI. Maybe it knew it would burn me and chose it for the status. There is another chance to see it in action against the next gym leader, since Flannery has both of the family members. Except that again they prefer to use fire moves. This time I kinda get it. Overheat might be a more reliable move than Magnitude, but come on, it's super effective. Since when did they stop caring about typing? She even has multiple occasions to use it. Instead, she prefers to set up the sun for Torkoal. Okay, I kinda get it, especially because the turtle ends up leaving a thunderbolt. That's surprising, but I wanted to know the damage to have an idea for what to expect later on. Anyway, our next stop is at Norman's gym. Here I have to deal with many normal types who are kinda tanky, but somehow less so than Torkoal, since they all end up being defeated in a single hit. I am sure the Linoon crit helped though. Of course, Slacking is a bit more resilient and takes a couple of turns to defeat, but in the end he goes down all the same like the others. Now that we have Surf, the worlds are oyster or something like that, and after some journeys we can reach the Weather Institute. Here we have the female Team Aqua admin. Sorry, but I don't really remember her name. She is very weak to electric too, so it's only a matter of clicking a couple of buttons before she is very easily defeated. Once we saved those guys too, we can move up to 4-3, but as we get there, we are stopped by May once again. The fight against her is usually very easy, and today is not that different either. The only thing I have to be careful about is Marshtomp, since I still can't use electric moves on it. After doing some stuff with Steven, we have to face the 6th gym. The fight against Winona should be very easy, since I have the type advantage, but there are a couple of exceptions. Both Tropius and Altaria are neutral to it, and while the banana tree is mostly harmless, the Cloud Dragon knows Earthquake. Fortunately, it spends its turn using Dragon Dance, and even though it just increased its speed, I am still outspeeding, so that was easy. The rest of her team is defeated in a single hit each, when I am able to land it, and with that another badge is in our pockets. Moving on from the treehouse village, we can reach the next town over, where there is the last optional fight against our rival. I don't have much to say about this one. It's more of the same. She added Tropius to her team, but as we just saw with Winona, it can't do much to me. Marshtomp is still a bit annoying, but at this point she would need to get 4 or 5 turns to defeat me. Spoiler alert, she does not get them. After cutting ties with May, we have to go to the Pokemon Tower where we find Archie talking with an elderly couple. After they leave, the woman gives us the Magma emblem, and so we go to the Team Magma's secret base. Here we find their boss waking up Groudon, who is a bit pissed and leaves. Maxie in return fights us. Ever heard of the Monkey Paw? For better or worse, I get my desire. Camerupt, after spamming Cool Mind for a while, uses Earthquake, and it deals exactly 100 damage. Ouch! Fortunately, I can defeat it before he can get a second one off, but that was scary for sure. After defeating the last of his Pokémons, we have to infiltrate the other team base, and after some grunt fights, we reach their male admin. Sorry, but I don't remember his name. Once again, it's only a matter of clicking Thunderbolt a couple of times. Once we have defeated him too, I take my sweet time leveling up, because the next gym will be a challenge. Tate and Liza are a bit of a problem. Not only it's a 2v1, but they can boost their special defense, and worst of all, their lead Claydol knows and uses Earthquake. The fight starts off messy. I get a flinch, but also get confused. It's a roller coaster of emotions over here. Long story short, I can defeat Claydol without losing most of my HP. From here, the fight can still be hard because of status effects, so I first focus Lunaton and then Xatu, since I don't want to get put to sleep or confused again. Fortunately, my stab moves are enough to defeat them in one hit each, so in the end the fight was not close at all, but it could have gone much worse. Next, we have the other double fight of the run against Maxi and another Team Magma guy, who I am not even sure it's named. This one is a bit scary because of the RNG, but the one good thing is that both of their camera-ups either don't know or always refuse to use ground moves, so at least on that front I am safe. I can also ignore the Mighty-Hyena's Intimidate, since I don't really use physical moves, but that's a double-edged sword too, since that means that the camera-ups will be much harder to defeat if they use Amnesia, a machine for pigs. Don't know about where you live, but the weather here has been all over the place. As long as I don't get another hailstorm like last year, I am okay with it though. After talking about weather, since I did not have anything to say, we can move on from this fight and dive deep underwater to reach the cave where Kyogre resides. Of course, it's not going to be that simple. Archie reaches us just in time for a challenge in front of the legendary. Well, let's say that that was not his smartest decision. His team cannot handle this voltage and is defeated in no time. As you well know, that was not enough to stop the end of the world, so now we have to go ask Sky God help to stop the other two, otherwise the world is going to boot drown and burn up, much like it's happening in real life. Anyway, after watching what is a pretty cool cutscene for 20 years ago, we can finally take on the last of the gyms. Since Juan uses water types, this should be rather easy, but there is a small problem. You see, among his ranks, there is a Wishcash, who is part ground, so I can't use electric moves and it knows earthquake, so yeah, this might be a problem. Fortunately, Bite still deals good damage and it does not go wild with the ground shaking, so I am eventually able to defeat him without losing all of my HP. The rest of his team is much simpler except for Kingdra, because thanks to his typing, it's only neutral, so it leaves and uses double team, and you know how this goes. I have to waste a few turns playing whack-a-mole with it until it finally kicks the bucket too. Now that we have all of the badges, we can start the victory road. Here we find Wally, and today I tried to be more attentive and careful. His lead is another earthquaking Altaria, so it might have been easier to pay attention this time. His team is surprisingly good at handling electric types. None of them are weak, many resist or have good special defense. This fight ended up taking a lot more turns than I was expecting, and I got toxiced again from Roselia. This time I did not get stalled though, so I could finish the fight before running out of HP. I'll have to keep Wally in mind as a potential roadblock when I'll use other electric types. Anyway, the league is finally upon us. Today I did not use candies, but used the Calm Mind TM. I did not think he could learn it, that's why I did not use it earlier. That was a nice surprise. The first member is Sidney. Unfortunately, there is no nice spot to set up. Most of his Pokémons can screw you over with RNG moves or debuffs, so I had to proceed normally. Shift 3 was a bit of a pain, but once the cursed bonsai went down, the fight got a lot easier. Most of the remaining Pokémons are a one-shot, or close to that, so there is no threat of me losing from here on. Let me know in the comments which one of the three dogs is your favorite. For me it has to be Suicune, from all its involvement in Crystal. The next fight is against Pheobe. Here you know that the biggest problem is her lead, since it knows Curse. Fortunately, it is also kinda dumb and always uses Protect on turn 1. This allows me to set up and have a much higher chance to defeat it in the next turn. If her lead is defeated with no Curse, you pretty much won. The rest of her team has nice coverage, but since they are not very powerful, they can't really capitalize on their good moves. Next up is Glacia. She should not be too hard since half of her team is water and there is no sneaky ground move, but I still had to equip a cherry berry since you never know when a body slam is going to ruin your day. Ultimately, she did not even use it, so that was a waste of the item slot. But then again, I do half of the battles with no items, since I forget to equip stuff, so there is no difference. After setting up just once, her team is quite easy to defeat, so that's the third Elite Four done too. The next fight is the one I was most worried about in the entire game. Drake's Pokémon are at best neutral to my Manian peers and at worst completely immune. Flygon. I was fully expecting to lose a few times against him. Instead, Raikou had other plans. Even though I got slowed down by Rock Tomb, maybe because of the nature, I was still faster than everything he had to offer, so once Flagon came out, I only had to lose like 70% of my HP in one hit, totally normal for a Dark Souls player. At least that was the only scary part, since everything else at +2 is one-shotted by Thunderbolt. After getting through the hardest fight in the game without losing, I started to think that the zero resets run was very possible. Wallace is last, and unfortunately the fight against him is very similar to Juan. The only threat here is Whiscash, for the usual reasons, so the idea is to set up as much as possible before him. I did the usual trick with the Wailord and used quite a few Calm Minds. I did not go all the way since I was scared of a crit, and I thought it would be enough. But when Whiscash came out, it lived a bite very well and retaliated with Earthquake. Fortunately, I lived on little more than 10% and finished off the catfish. From here I can keep spamming Thunderbolt with no more obstacles, and that is it really. Raikou managed to beat the game with 0 resets in a little more than 3 hours. I am very impressed. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, and I think you did, if you are still here, leave a like, maybe subscribe and ring the bell to be informed whenever I upload a new video. And if I don't ask too much, share it with a friend. Also, if you have any feedback, video ideas or want to chat, leave a comment. I'll be sure to answer all of them. See you next week. Bye!